Tell me, in terms of strategies and different interventions, what worked the best for you? Do you remember? I know the engaging is important, but what were some of the strategies and interventions that really hit home for you and Toyam?
First off, Pushkar and I were very open minded about anything that we could do. We knew everything wasn't going to work, but I was willing to try everything. So, a reward system. This was something we set up where it was hard to get Toyam to just walk into the classroom. And I hear you say this over and over again, like, it's hard for these kids to just step inside a classroom. Forget about speaking. We just start with, let's get him in the classroom. And he did. And for us, it was, cookies. At the end of the day, if you stay in the classroom or whatever, we reward you with a cookie. And here we are 6 years later, and Toyin gets in the car and he asks for his cookies.
So gets the cookie.
So that never ends.
That's so funny. Yeah, his goals were maybe different than someone else's, right? But we had to know what his particular challenges were and begin working on that.
Yeah, I mean, that was one strategy. Another big thing that we did, or I did, I would go in the classroom and I was working with the teacher. Once a week, I would go in on a Friday after school, and there was one other family that was willing to help Toyam. And this little girl, she was sweet as can be, and I would bring a game, whether it was Connect Four or whatever game it was, Candyland, I would bring it in, and the teacher would let me sit on the floor and try to navigate, not get him to talk, but just play a game with her. 30 minutes, we would sit on the floor once a week. I would do, choice questions, Toyam, it's your turn, things like that.
And even to date, Emma is still a friend of Toyam years later, and that became like a special relationship. It's easy to say that that's his first official like friend, where they're still connected and they go. Things have changed for both of them because they're both 9 and 10 years old now, and they go to Disney or Orlando doing things together. Have different, but they're still funny with each other, and so it became like a lifelong friendship for them.
I hope you're taking photos. You never know what could be going on in another like 10 to 15 years. You know,
Right,
you never know. You've heard stories like this where
right. First love.
first love and they walk down the aisle together. So you never know.
But I think, a lot of the school-based accommodations that I helped put in place, consultations, the teachers were just like, amazing. And it was like staying on top of it. You can't just think, you do one school consultation, the teachers are going to like keep after it. They don't.
No, you're right. And that brings up something really important is that it's not just treating your child right in the clinical setting and training parents. And we saw this with our research that training schools is absolutely critical. And we recommend a kind of a beginning treatment where you first start in treatment, then you do the beginning school accommodation intervention kind of plan and training. And then as needed, like every maybe 8 weeks or so for 30 minutes or even, just to kind of touch base, what's working well, what's not working well. And for us, you did the monthly program. And I remember you were really good with this. One of the parts of that program is the SM School About form, where every single month you would have teachers fill out the School About form. It kind of shares about academics, how he's doing, starting, completing tasks, communication with peers one-on-one, teachers one-on-one, and in groups, small and large groups. And by learning what he's doing in the classroom, it's like a visual screenshot, right? You're kind of getting an overall view of then you can adapt treatment too to work on that. I know for us, working on peers was really important. So play dates were important. Small groups in the room were important. And it wasn't just that, but how you ask questions, when you ask questions, where you ask questions, and really training the teacher. And thankfully, you had the ability to go into the classroom, which worked really well.
Right. I mean, without the teacher help, we wouldn't have been where we're at. It's definitely, I have to say, as a parent, it definitely feels awkward to keep emailing teachers, going in, making sure that accommodations are happening. But if you don't advocate for your child, nobody else is especially when they're little. They don't know how to do that for themselves.
One of the things we tell families, because they often feel like you do, like I'm uncomfortable, and what you can always do is blame it on us. Our treatment professional really needs to know what's happening in school. Every month we need to see this, would be so appreciated, and even talking to the principal to have them direct it, but always blame us. Just say this is what they need. And if you get weekly updates, it's what our treatment provider needs. And that way it takes it off you, because you're only giving the information from your treatment provider. And that helps some families. Writing an email without talking to the teacher sometimes helps parents too, and sending the attachment. It really does help so much. Without that information, definitely a challenge.